Fear begins here. Welcome to Legend and Nightmare, and let the terror unfold. Subscribe. I'm a land surveyor. Been doing this work for 23 years. Walked thousands of miles of property lines. Found old markers, iron pins, stone monuments, boundary trees carved with initials from the 1800s. You learn to respect what the old-timers left behind. They knew these mountains, understood them in ways we've forgotten. Last fall, I took a contract in eastern Kentucky, remote property. 200 acres of heavily forested land. The owner wanted it surveyed before selling. Simple job. Or should have been. Stay close. Keep your senses open. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. Things tend to get lost out here in these mountains, and I'd hate for you to be one of them. The property owner was in his 70s. Name was Harlan. Lived in town. Never spent much time on the land. Inherited it from his father, who inherited it from his father. Going back generations. He gave me the old deed. Handed me a hand-drawn map from 1847. Told me to be careful. When I asked what he meant, he just said the old folks had rules about the property. Rules he'd never understood. But his grandmother had been very specific. Never move the stones. Never cross certain lines after dark. Never dig near the old markers. I thanked him. Didn't think much of it. Mountain people have superstitions. Respect for ancestors. Stories passed down. I'd heard similar things before. Usually nothing to it. Just tradition, folklore, ways of keeping history alive. I started the survey on a Monday, October. Perfect weather, cool mornings, warm afternoons. The leaves were turning. The forest was beautiful. I worked alone. Prefer it that way. Just me, my equipment. The woods, peaceful, meditative almost. The first day, I established my control points. Set up my GPS base station. Started walking the perimeter. The old deed described the boundaries in traditional terms, starting at a white oak, running north to a stone pile, east to a creek, south to another stone pile, west back to the oak. Classic meets and bounds description. I found the white oak. Massive tree. Had to be 300 years old. Someone had carved initials deep into the bark. JT 1847. Still visible, still clear. The tree had grown around the carving, incorporating it, making it permanent. I took photos, measured, recorded my position, then headed north. The stone pile was exactly where the deed said it would be. Remarkable, really, after nearly 200 years. Still intact, still marking the corner. These weren't natural stones. They'd been placed, deliberately, carefully. Large flat rocks stacked about 4 feet high, covered in moss and lichen, but solid, unmoved by time or weather. What caught my attention were the symbols, carved into the top stone. Not letters, not numbers, just marks. Symbols I didn't recognize. Geometric patterns, circles, lines, triangles, deliberately carved, deep cuts. Whoever made them wanted them to last, wanted them seen. I photographed the symbols, measured the pile's position, set my prism pole, moved on, found the creek, followed it south, located the second stone pile. Same configuration, same size, same symbols, different patterns but clearly related, connected somehow. By late afternoon, I'd walked 3 sides of the property. Everything matched the old deed surprisingly well. I'd return tomorrow to finish the 4th side. Complete the survey. Easy work. I packed up, drove back to my motel, had dinner, reviewed my notes. Everything was proceeding smoothly. Tuesday morning, I returned to finish. The 4th boundary ran through dense forest, steep terrain, difficult walking. I was following my GPS, heading toward where the deed said I'd find another stone pile. But the pile had been disturbed. Someone had knocked it over. Recently, the moss was torn, fresh dirt exposed, stones scattered, not weather, not animals. This was deliberate. Human interference. Vandalism, maybe, or kids exploring. Whatever the reason, the marker was destroyed. I should have left it alone, should have just documented it as disturbed, moved on. But I'm thorough, professional. I decided to rebuild it, restore it to its original configuration. I had photos of the other piles, knew how they looked, how they were structured. It seemed respectful, the right thing to do. I spent an hour restacking the stones, matching the pattern, getting the height right. When I finished, it looked good, solid, like the others. I felt satisfied, pleased with my work, took my measurements, continued the survey. That's when I noticed the smell, faint at first, like decay, rotting vegetation, but stronger, sharper, almost sulfurous. I looked around, trying to locate the source. Nothing visible, no dead animal, no obvious explanation, just that smell, growing stronger. Then I heard it. Movement, in the forest. Behind me, heavy, deliberate. Footsteps, but wrong somehow. The rhythm was off, like something limping, or walking on uneven legs. I turned, saw nothing, just trees, shadows, dense undergrowth. The sound circled me, staying just out of sight, always behind trees, behind brush. I called out, asked if someone was there. No answer, just that sound, that wrong footstep pattern, getting closer. I'm not easily spooked. Worked alone in remote areas my whole career. Bears don't bother me, neither do coyotes, neither do wild hogs. But this felt different. This felt wrong, predatory, intelligent, like something was hunting me. I packed my equipment quickly, started walking back to my truck, fast, not quite running, but close. The sounds followed, matching my pace. When I sped up, it sped up. When I stopped, it stopped. Always staying just out of sight, always there, present, watching. I reached my truck, got in, locked the doors, hands shaking, heart pounding, sat there, watching the tree line, for maybe 5 minutes. Nothing, just forest, quiet, normal. Then I saw it, movement, between the trees, a shape, tall, maybe 7 feet, moving, but not like an animal, not like a person, something else, something that shouldn't be. It stood at the edge of the clearing, watching my truck. I couldn't see details, just a silhouette, dark, wrong proportions, too tall, limbs too long, head tilted at an unnatural angle. We stayed like that, staring at each other, for what felt like forever. Then it turned, walked back into the forest, disappeared. I started my truck, drove straight to Harlan's house, told him what happened, what I'd seen. He went pale, asked if I'd moved any stones. I admitted I'd rebuilt the pile. His expression changed. Fear, real fear, he explained. The stones weren't just boundary markers. They were barriers, seals, keeping something contained, keeping something inside. His ancestors had placed them deliberately, with ceremony, with intention. The symbols were warnings, instructions. Never move them, never break the circle. Because if you did, whatever was trapped would get out. I asked what was trapped. He didn't know exactly, just that it had been there for generations, before his family owned the land, before white settlers arrived. The Cherokee had stories about it. A spirit, a guardian, something ancient, something hungry. The first white family to own the land had learned about it the hard way, lost 3 members before figuring out what was happening. They'd moved the stones, broken the boundary, released it. They'd contained it again, reset the boundary, rebuilt the stones properly, with help from a Cherokee elder who knew the right way, the right symbols, the right arrangement, and warned them, never move the stones, never cross the line after dark, never disturb what was sealed. Harlan said I needed to fix what I'd done, soon, before dark. The stones had to be placed exactly right. The symbols needed to face the correct direction. There was a specific order, a specific pattern. He had notes from his grandmother, instructions, drawings. He gave them to me, told me to hurry. I drove back. It was late afternoon, maybe 2 hours of daylight left. I found the pile I'd rebuilt, studied Harlan's notes. I'd gotten it wrong. The stones weren't just stacked, they were oriented, each one positioned precisely, based on cardinal directions, based on the symbols, based on things I hadn't understood. I dismantled what I'd built, started over, following the instructions exactly, placing each stone carefully, checking, double-checking. The smell was back, stronger now, and I could hear it, circling, closer than before, moving through the brush, snapping branches, disturbing leaves, making its presence known. The sun was dropping, shadows lengthening. I worked faster, sweat running down my back despite the cool air. My hands were shaking, making it harder, making me clumsy, but I kept going, following the instructions, placing the stones, getting it right this time. The final stone went on top, the one with the primary symbol, a circle with lines radiating outward, like a sun or an eye. I positioned it, oriented it north, stepped back, checked against the drawings. Perfect, exactly, right. The smell vanished, instantly, completely, like someone had flipped a switch, and the sound, the circling, the movement, gone. Total silence. Even the normal forest sounds had stopped. No birds, no insects, no wind, just silence, heavy, oppressive, waiting. Then I heard it, a scream, distant, deep in the forest. Not human, not animal, something else. Rage, frustration, fury, like something had been caught, trapped again, sealed away. It screamed for maybe 30 seconds, then stopped, and the normal sounds returned. Birds, wind, the forest coming back to life. I ran back to my truck, didn't look back, didn't stop, just ran, got in, locked the doors, drove away fast. Didn't stop until I reached town. I called Harlan that night, told him it was done. He thanked me, asked if I'd finished the survey. I said no, I was done. I'd provide him what I had, but I wasn't going back. Not ever. He understood. Said most surveyors wouldn't return after learning the truth. After seeing what I'd seen, he'd find someone local, someone who knew the stories, who'd respect the boundaries, who'd never move the stones. I've thought about it constantly since. What was out there, what I released, what those stones were containing. Harlan said his family didn't know the full story, just that it was old, older than white settlement, older than the Cherokee stories, something that had been sealed away for good reason, something the land remembered even if people had forgotten. I researched the area, found old accounts, disappearances, people vanishing in that valley, going back centuries, gaps in the pattern, long periods of nothing, then clusters, multiple people gone in short spans, then nothing again. The gaps corresponded to the property ownership, the times when someone was maintaining the boundary, maintaining the stones, keeping the seal intact. The clusters corresponded to times of disturbance, new owners who didn't know, who didn't believe, who moved stones, changed boundaries, broke the seal. Each time, people died. Each time, someone figured it out, reset the barrier, contained it again, until the next time. Harlan died last year. His children inherited the property. They don't live locally, don't know the stories. I tried to warn them, sent letters, made calls. They thanked me politely, said they appreciated my concern, but they were planning to develop the land, clear it, build vacation cabins, The boundary stones would be removed, the forest cleared, the seal broken. I don't know if they've started yet, don't want to know. But sometimes I check the news from that county, looking for stories, disappearances, strange incidents, unexplained deaths. So far, nothing, but it's only a matter of time. The old-timers knew what they were doing, knew what they were keeping contained. Modern people don't listen, don't respect the old boundaries, the old warnings. We think we know better, think we understand the world, but these mountains hold secrets, hold things sealed away for good reason. And when we break those seals, when we cross those boundaries, when we move those stones, something gets out, something hungry, something that's been waiting, patient, forever, and it doesn't forget. We moved into the old farmhouse in March. My wife, 2 kids, me. We'd been looking for something affordable with space. Found this place listed under market value. Big property, 3 bedrooms, original hardwood floors. Needed work but solid bones. The real estate agent said the previous owners had moved suddenly. Job relocation, needed to sell fast. We didn't ask too many questions. The price was too good. The house sat at the end of a dirt road, 5 miles from the nearest neighbor. Dense forest on 3 sides, meadow in front. Classic West Virginia mountain property. My wife loved it immediately. The kids were excited. All that space to explore. No traffic, no noise. Just nature, peace, quiet. Exactly what we'd wanted. We started unpacking, moving furniture, making it ours. In my daughter's closet, we found a journal, leather-bound, worn. Someone had left it behind, probably the previous owner's kid. My daughter opened it, started reading, called me over, said I should see this. The journal belonged to a girl named Emma. She'd lived here before us. The entries were normal at first, talking about school, friends, moving to this house. Then she described a game, something she'd learned from the house. She called it the knock-knock game. The rules were simple. Stand at the basement door, knock 3 times. Wait, something knocks back. Once means yes, twice means no, 3 times means run. Emma wrote that she'd played it dozens of times, asked questions, got answers. It was like having a friend in the basement, someone to talk to, someone who knew things. She'd ask about her day, about tests at school, about boys she liked, and it would answer, always reliable, always truthful. She trusted it completely. Then the entries changed. Emma became worried. The game had new rules. Rules she hadn't taught it. It started knocking first, before she arrived, waiting for her, expecting her, and the pattern changed. 3 knocks meant something different now. 3 knocks meant to open the door, let me out, talk face to face. Emma wrote that she'd refused, felt scared. The knocking became aggressive, loud, violent, shaking the door in its frame, happening at night, during the day, constantly. Her parents heard it too. They stopped letting her play, told her to stay away from the basement. But the knocking continued, every night. 3 knocks, over and over, until one night, Emma gave in. The final entry was short. She'd opened the door, seen what was down there, waiting. She didn't describe it, just wrote one line, "We're leaving tomorrow. Don't ever play this game. Don't ever answer. Don't ever open the door." Then the journal ended, no more entries, just that warning. My daughter showed me the pages, asked if it was real. I said, probably not. Just a creative kid writing stories, making things up, trying to scare the next residents. My wife agreed. We laughed it off, put the journal aside, continued unpacking. But that night, I checked the basement door, made sure it was locked, just in case. 2 weeks later, my son came to me, said he'd found something interesting. asked if I knew about the knock-knock game. My blood went cold. I asked where he'd heard about it. He said the journal. His sister had shown him. They'd been curious, wanted to try it. I told them absolutely not. That door stays locked. That game isn't real. It's dangerous. Don't even joke about it. They promised. Said they wouldn't. I believed them. Kids listen when you're serious, when you're scared, and I was scared. Something about that journal, about Emma's words, about the sudden move. It felt true, felt real. I didn't want my kids anywhere near that basement door, but kids are curious, and they don't always keep promises. A week later, I came home from work. My wife was upset, said the kids had been in trouble. They'd played the game, both of them, while we were out. They'd knocked on the basement door, and something knocked back. Once, then twice, then 3 times. They'd run, terrified, hid in their rooms. Told my wife everything when she got home. She'd been furious, scared, didn't know what to do. I asked the kids exactly what happened. My daughter said they'd knocked, heard the response, clear, definite, 3 distinct knocks, from inside the basement, where nobody was, where nothing should be. I went to the basement door, stood there, listening. Nothing. Silence. I knocked once, felt ridiculous, waited. Nothing. Knocked twice, waited longer, still nothing. Told the kids they'd imagined it. Old houses make sounds, pipes, settling, wind, not ghosts, not monsters, just normal house sounds. They seemed relieved, wanted to believe me, but I could see doubt in their eyes. They'd heard what they'd heard. That night, we all heard it. 2 a.m., 3 knocks, on the basement door, loud, clear, unmistakable. Then 3 more, and 3 more. My wife grabbed my arm, asked what that was. I said I didn't know. We lay there, listening. The knocking continued, rhythmic, patient, waiting. After 10 minutes, it stopped. Silence returned. We didn't sleep, just lay awake, waiting for it to start again. Morning came. I checked the basement door. Still locked. No signs of tampering. I opened it, looked down the stairs. Dark, old, damp smell. I went down, checked every corner, every shadow. Nothing. Empty basement. Stone walls, dirt floor, old furnace. Nothing unusual. Nothing that could knock. I came back up, locked the door, told myself we'd all imagined it. Stress from moving, new house sounds, overactive imaginations fed by Emma's journal. But it happened again, the next night. Same time, same pattern. 3 knocks, repeated, 4 minutes, then stopping. We tried to ignore it, tried to sleep through it, but you can't ignore something that persistent, that deliberate, that intelligent. My son asked if we could talk to it, use the game to communicate, ask it what it wants. I said absolutely not. We don't engage, don't respond, don't acknowledge, pretend it doesn't exist. Maybe it will give up, go away, find another family to bother. He nodded, but I could see he was considering it, wondering, curious despite his fear. The knocking escalated, started happening during the day, multiple times, not just at night, and not just the basement door, other doors, closets, bedrooms, bathrooms. 3 knocks, always 3, wherever we were. Whatever we were doing, it followed us, waited for us, made its presence known. My daughter started having nightmares, waking up screaming, saying something was in her room, standing by her bed, watching her, knocking on her headboard 3 times, over and over. We let her sleep in our room, but the knocking followed, on our bedroom door, on the walls, persistent, relentless, demanding. I called a local priest, explained the situation. He said he'd come, do a blessing, clear the house. He arrived the next day, performed his ritual, blessed every room. Every door, especially the basement, used holy water, prayers, everything traditional. Said the house should be clear now. Whatever was here should be gone. That night was quiet. No knocking, no disturbances. We slept through, woke up relieved, thought it was over. But the next night, it returned, louder, angrier. The priest's intervention had only made it worse. The knocking was violent now, shaking doors, rattling frames. 3 knocks, repeated, furious. All night long my wife wanted to leave. Pack up, move out, I agreed. But where would we go? We'd put everything into this house. Couldn't afford another place. Couldn't explain to the bank why we were abandoning our mortgage. We were trapped, stuck with whatever this was, whatever we'd awakened, whatever Emma had warned us about. One night, my son couldn't take it anymore. He went to the basement door, stood there, knocked 3 times. We heard him from upstairs, ran down, found him standing frozen, staring at the door. It had answered. 3 knocks. Then the door handle turned, slowly, testing, trying to open, but the lock held. My son backed away, whispered that he'd asked it a question. What do you want? And it had answered. 3 knocks. The game's final rule. Open the door, let me out, end the game. I grabbed my son, pulled him away, told him never again, never ask, never answer, never engage. He was crying, said he was sorry, just wanted it to stop, wanted things to be normal again. We're still in the house, can't afford to leave, can't explain what's happening. Who would believe us? The knocking continues, every night, every day. 3 knocks, sometimes doors, sometimes walls, sometimes windows. Always 3, always waiting, always there. We've learned to live with it, ignore it as much as possible, keep that basement door locked, never respond, never acknowledge, never open. Emma's journal was right. The game doesn't end. Once you start, it continues forever, or until you give in, until you open that door, until you let out whatever's been waiting, down there, in the dark, knocking, patient, knowing eventually someone will answer, someone will play, someone will lose. The game always wins, always, and we're stuck playing, for as long as we live here, for as long as it takes, until one of us breaks, until one of us answers, until one of us opens that door and lets it out. My great-grandmother died last April. She was 9, lived her entire life in the same house, deep in the mountains of eastern Tennessee. Place had been in our family for 5 generations. When she passed, I inherited it. Nobody else wanted it. Too remote, too old, too much work. But I'd spent summers there as a kid, had good memories, thought I'd fix it up, maybe retire there someday. I drove down in May. The house looked smaller than I remembered, paint peeling, porch sagging, yard overgrown, but structurally sound, good roof, strong foundation, just needed attention, care, time. I had a month off work, figured I'd make progress, get it livable, then deal with the rest later. Inside, everything was exactly as she'd left it. Furniture from the 60s, kitchen from the 50s, wood stove still in the living room, no central heat, no air conditioning, just how she'd wanted it. She'd refused modernization, said the old ways were better, more reliable. I'd thought she was just stubborn, set in her ways. Now I wonder if she knew something, had reasons beyond tradition. I started going through her things, papers, photos, belongings, accumulated over nearly a century. In her bedroom closet, I found a wooden box, locked, no key visible. I pried it open. Inside was a leather-bound ledger, old, handwritten, pages yellowed but preserved. The ink was faded but readable. The first entry was dated 1947, my great-grandmother's handwriting. Young, neat, careful. It read like a business ledger. Names, dates, services rendered. But the services were strange. Healing, protection, love work, curse removal. Next to each entry was a payment, but not money, not amounts, just cryptic phrases. Firstborn's laugh, 7 years luck, the memory of her mother's voice, dream of flying. I kept reading. The entries continued, decades worth, hundreds of names, people from all over the mountains, coming to my great-grandmother for help, for healing, for intervention. And each time, she'd taken something intangible, something precious, something they'd agreed to give. Signed contracts written in the ledger, witnessed by her hand and theirs, binding agreements. My great-grandmother had been what mountain people call a granny witch, a healer, a wise woman, someone who knew the old ways, the old magic, the old bargains. People sought her out when doctors couldn't help, when medicine failed, when problems required solutions beyond science. She'd help, always, but the help came with cost, a price that had to be paid. Near the end of the ledger, I found recent entries from this year. My grandmother was still working, still healing, still making bargains, right up until the week she died. The final entry was dated 3 days before her death. A woman named Sarah Mitchell sought healing for her son. Cancer, stage 4. Doctors had given up. Sarah came to my great-grandmother, desperate, willing to do anything, pay anything. Save her son. My great-grandmother agreed, performed her ritual, promised the healing would work, but the payment was steep. Sarah's remaining years, however many she had left, transferred to her son. Sarah agreed, signed the ledger. 3 days later, my great-grandmother died. Sarah's son recovered, completely, miraculously. Cancer gone, no explanation, medical mystery. And Sarah? She died in her sleep, the same night as my great-grandmother. Heart failure, sudden, unexpected. She was 43. I read that entry over and over, trying to understand, trying to rationalize. Coincidence, had to be. But the timing, the exactness, the transaction described in the ledger, payment delivered, service completed, contract fulfilled. It felt real. Felt like my great-grandmother had actually done something, actually transferred Sarah's life to her son. Actually made a deal that resulted in 2 deaths and 1 miraculous healing. I looked through the other entries, cross-referenced names with dates, checked obituaries, public records, birth announcements, marriage licenses. A pattern emerged. Every payment matched an event. Firstborn's laugh. That person's first child was born mute. 7 years luck. 7 years later, bankruptcy. The memory of her mother's voice. Mother died the next day. The bargains were real. The payments collected. Precisely. Exactly. Without mercy or exception. And at the back of the ledger, I found something else. A list. Unpaid debts. People who'd received help but hadn't completed payment. Who'd refused, who'd tried to cheat the bargain. Next to each name was a note, debt transferred, with a date and a new name. Mine, I counted, 17 unpaid debts, all transferred to me upon my great-grandmother's death. Inherited along with the house, the property, her belongings. I'd received her assets, and her obligations. The people she'd helped hadn't finished paying. Now the debt was mine. I had to collect, or pay it myself. I didn't believe it. Not really. This was superstition, folk magic, mountain legend, not reality, not legally binding, not enforceable. I closed the ledger, put it back in the box, continued working on the house, tried to forget what I'd read. That night, I had a dream. My great-grandmother appeared, looking young, healthy, strong. She sat across from me, opened the ledger, pointed to the unpaid debts, said they were mine now. I had to collect. People had received services, made promises, bargains had been struck. The work was done, payment was owed, and if I didn't collect, I'd pay instead. The universe required balance. Debts must be settled, one way or another. I woke up, heart pounding. Just a dream. Stress. Reading that ledger before bed. My mind processing. Creating narratives. Nothing more. I got up, made coffee, sat on the porch watching sunrise. Everything felt normal, peaceful. Just a house. Just a ledger. Just old stories. Nothing to worry about. Then I got a call. My mother, sounding worried, said she'd felt strange all morning. Like something was wrong. Was I okay? Had anything happened? I assured her I was fine. Just stress from cleaning out the house. Going through grandmother's things. She seemed relieved. Hung up. 10 minutes later, she called back. Her voice different. Panicked. She'd collapsed. Was in the hospital. Heart attack. Out of nowhere. No warning. No prior symptoms. Just sudden. Severe. I drove to the hospital. 4 hours. Arrived around noon. My mother was stable. Doctors were confused. Said her heart showed no damage. No blockage. No clear cause. But she'd definitely experienced cardiac arrest. Required intervention. Resuscitation. She'd been dead for 90 seconds. Then revived. Now she was fine. Completely fine. Medically inexplicable. She pulled me aside, whispered. Said while she was out, she'd seen her grandmother, my great-grandmother, who told her to tell me, the debts are real. Collect them, or more will happen. This was a warning. Next time, I might not revive her. Next time, I might not be so lucky. The bargains must be honored, the payments collected. Start with the ledger. Start with the names. Make them pay what they owe. I drove back to the house, opened the ledger, looked at the first unpaid debt, Robert Jenkins, $1,989. Received protection working, promised payment. His son's talent for music, never delivered. Son became a professional musician, successful, famous even. Robert kept what he'd promised to give, cheated the bargain, and now, the debt was mine to collect. I found Robert online, still alive, living in Nashville. I called, introduced myself, explained the situation, the ledger, the debt, the payment owed. He laughed, said that was nonsense. His mother had gone to my great-grandmother when he was a kid, worried about him. Some local trouble? Minor stuff. They'd talked, did some ritual, burned candles, said prayers. Nothing happened. No protection. No magic. Just old woman's superstition. He owed nothing. Would pay nothing. Hung up 2 days later. Robert's son, the musician, was in a car accident. Survived. But his hands were crushed. Permanently damaged. Career over. Ability to play. Gone. Exactly what had been promised. Exactly what Robert had kept. Taken now violently. Suddenly. Payment collected. By something. By someone. By the universe enforcing its bargain. I checked the ledger. Next to Robert's name. Someone had written, paid in full. Not my handwriting. Not anyone's I recognized. Just appeared. Somehow, the debt was settled. 1 down. 16 to go. I looked at the remaining names. The outstanding debts. The people who'd received help and refused payment. Who thought they'd gotten away with it. Who were about to learn that some bargains span generations. Some debts never expire. Some payments are always collected. Eventually, inevitably, I'm still in the house. Still going through the ledger. Still discovering what my great-grandmother really did, who she really was. What she really practiced. It wasn't just folk medicine. Wasn't just tradition. It was real, functioning, enforced by something beyond normal understanding. and I've inherited it. The knowledge, the responsibility, the power, and the curse. Because if I don't collect these debts, they'll be extracted from me, from my family, from everyone I love. The universe requires balance. Bargains must be honored, payments must be made, and I'm the collector now, the granny witch's heir, whether I want to be or not. The ledger is mine, the debts are mine, and 17 people better pray, better hope, better pay, before something takes what they owe, before the universe collects, before the old magic enforces the old bargains, because my great-grandmother is gone, but her work continues, through me, through the ledger, through the debts that never die, never expire, never forget. My buddies and I planned a 3-day hiking trip through West Virginia back. We'd done dozens of trips together, all experienced, all prepared. We studied maps, picked a route, checked weather, everything by the book. Standard procedure, nothing unusual, nothing risky, just another weekend in the mountains. We stopped at a ranger station Thursday morning, filed our route plan. The ranger looked at our map, pointed to a valley we'd marked as our second day's path, asked if we knew about that area. We said no, just looked like good terrain, accessible, scenic. He shook his head slowly, said locals call it the closed holler. Don't go in there, find another route. We asked why. What was wrong with it? He wouldn't say exactly, just repeated, don't go there. People who go in sometimes don't come out. And when they do, they're different, changed. Won't talk about what happened, just warn others away. Same as he was doing now. Take the ridge path instead. Adds 2 miles, but worth it. Trust me, stay out of the closed holler. We thanked him, left, discussed it while driving to the trailhead. Mark thought it was local legend, trying to keep tourists away, preserve the area, keep it pristine. Jake agreed, said every region had forbidden zones, usually nothing to it. Sarah, our 4th member, was less certain, said maybe we should listen, take the ridge, not risk it. But Mark and Jake were adamant. We'd prepared this route, studied it. We were going. One ranger's superstition wouldn't change our plans. I voted with Sarah, take the ridge, respect the warning, but I was outvoted. Democracy, majority rules. We'd continue as planned, enter the closed holler, see for ourselves. Probably nothing, probably just stories, probably fine. The first day was perfect. Beautiful weather, great scenery. We made excellent time. Camped that night at our planned location. No problems, no concerns. Tomorrow we'd descend into the valley, into the closed holler. See what all the fuss was about, laugh about the ranger's warnings, add it to our collection of silly local legends we debunked. Friday morning we broke camp early, started descending. The terrain changed quickly. Dense forest, thick undergrowth, darker, cooler, less sunlight penetrating. The valley bottom was maybe 2 miles wide, creek running through it. Steep ridges on both sides, natural funnel. Beautiful in its own way, wild, untouched, remote. We walked for an hour, following the creek, looking for a good lunch spot. That's when Sarah noticed. No animals. We'd seen deer, squirrels, birds, all morning on the ridge. But here, nothing. Complete silence. No bird calls. No insects. No movement. Just us. The creek. The forest. Empty. Lifeless. Mark said it was probably our noise. We were scaring things away, but we'd been hiking quietly, like always. And animals don't evacuate entire valleys, because 4 people walk through. Something else was wrong. The silence was unnatural, oppressive, heavy, like the forest was holding its breath, waiting, watching. We kept moving, wanting to get through, reach the far side, climb out, back to normal forest, normal sounds, normal world. But the valley kept extending. We'd calculated 2 miles, but we'd walked 3, then 4. The GPS showed our position accurately, but the valley should have ended. We should be ascending. Instead, we were still on the valley floor, still surrounded by steep ridges, still trapped in silence. Jake suggested we climb out. Forget the trail. Just go straight up. Get elevation. Get out of the valley. We tried. Started ascending the northern ridge. Steep. Difficult, but manageable. We climbed for 30 minutes. Made good progress. Then the ridge leveled, and we were back in the valley. Somehow, impossibly, we'd climbed up, but ended up down, back where we started. Same creek, same forest, same silent prison. Sarah was panicking, said this was impossible. Physics doesn't work this way. You can't climb up and end up back down. Mark tried the GPS. It showed our position accurately, but the map didn't match the terrain. According to GPS, we should be on the ridge, but we were clearly in the valley. Technology and reality disagreed. We tried again. Different direction. Southern ridge this time. Same result. Climbed. Made progress. Leveled out. Found ourselves back in the valley. Back at the creek. Back in the exact same spot. Like the valley was looping. Returning us. Keeping us. Not letting us leave. The sun was dropping. We needed shelter. Needed to camp. Needed to think. We found a clearing. Set up tents. Made fire. Tried to act normal. But none of us were okay. We were trapped. In a valley that shouldn't trap anyone. That followed normal rules. Normal geography. Except it didn't. It was closed. That's what the ranger had said. The closed hauler. Closed from the inside. Not keeping people out. Keeping people in. Night fell. Complete darkness. Our fire was the only light. And then we heard it. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Walking around our camp. Just beyond the firelight. Staying in darkness. Circling. Patient. We called out. Asked who was there. No answer. Just footsteps. Constant. Never stopping. Never approaching. Never leaving. Just there. Present. Surrounding us. Sarah turned on her flashlight. Shined it into the forest. We saw figures. Standing between trees. Humanoid. But wrong. Too tall. Too thin. Proportions off. They didn't move. Didn't react to light. Just stood. Watching dozens of them. All around us. Silent. Still. Observing. We stayed by the fire. All night. Keeping watch. The figures never approached. Never left. Just stood. Watching. Waiting. When dawn came, they were gone. Vanished. The forest was empty again. But still. Silent. Still wrong. Still trapped. We tried leaving again. Same results? Every direction lead back. Every path returned us. Every escape attempt failed. We were stuck. In a valley that existed outside normal space. Outside normal rules. A pocket dimension. A trap. A prison. And whatever those figures were, they were the guards. Or the prisoners. Or something else entirely. We didn't know. Couldn't know. Just knew we couldn't leave. On the third day, we found something. A pile of rocks. Deliberately stacked. Like a cairn. But strange. Arranged in patterns. Symbols. Next to it, a note. Weathered. Old. Barely readable. It said, "You're not trapped. It's trapped. Don't let it out. Don't break the circle. Don't cross the boundary. Stay together. Stay sane. Wait for release." Sometimes it lets people go. Sometimes it keeps them. Depends on what it sees. What it wants. What it needs. The note wasn't signed. Wasn't dated. Could have been there for years. Decades. We didn't understand. What was trapped? What boundary? What release? But we followed the advice. Stayed together. Stayed near our camp. Waited. Hoped. prayed for something, anything that would let us leave. On the fourth day, something changed. The silence broke. Birds called, insects buzzed, animals moved, life returned, and when we tried walking out, following the creek, it worked. The valley ended. We climbed the southern ridge, reached the top, looked back. The valley looked normal, beautiful, peaceful, like nothing had happened, like we'd imagined everything. We hiked out, double time, didn't stop, didn't rest, just moved, fast, desperate, needing civilization, needing normal, needing proof we were really out, really free, really escaped. We reached the ranger station. The same ranger looked at us, nodded slowly, said he could tell, could see it. We'd been in the closed holler. We were different now, changed. He didn't explain, just said, don't go back. Don't tell others the way. Don't encourage anyone to try. The holler is closed for a reason. What's in there needs to stay in there, and people who go in are lucky to come out. We asked what's in there. What's trapped? He said, nobody knows exactly. Just that the Cherokee sealed it, long ago, before white settlers. Something that couldn't be killed, couldn't be destroyed, only contained, only sealed. The valley is the prison. Whatever is in there can't get out, as long as the boundaries hold, as long as the seals remain intact, as long as nobody breaks the circle. He looked at us carefully, asked if we'd disturbed anything, broken anything, moved any stones. We said no. We'd followed the note, stayed together, waited. He nodded, said we were smart and lucky. Some people try to escape, try to break out. They weaken the boundaries, make cracks, let things through. Those people don't come back, or they come back wrong, changed, corrupted, carrying pieces of what's inside, spreading it, infecting others, making new closed areas, new traps, new prisons. The closed holler spreads, slowly, claiming new valleys, new forests, new victims. It grows patiently, forever, waiting for the day the boundaries fail, the seals break, the prison opens, and whatever is trapped gets out, finally, completely free. I'm a bow hunter. Been hunting these mountains my whole life. Learned from my father, who learned from his father, going back generations. Our family knows these woods, knows the patterns, the seasons, the game. We respect the land, take only what we need, hunt ethically, sustainably. It's not just sport, it's tradition, heritage, connection to something older than towns, older than cities, older than modern convenience. Last November, I was hunting alone, deep wilderness area in southwestern Virginia, private land. Owner lets me hunt there. Been going for 15 years. Never had problems. Know the territory like my own backyard. Safe, familiar, predictable. Until it wasn't. I'd set up my tree stand at dawn. Good location, overlooking a game trail. Fresh tracks. Deer had been through recently. I settled in, waited, watching, listening. The forest woke around me. Birds, squirrels, normal sounds, normal activity, perfect hunting conditions. Around 10 a.m., I heard something. Movement, coming down the trail, slow, steady. I raised my bow, prepared, watched. A deer emerged, doe, good size. But something was off. The way it moved, jerky, unnatural, like it was learning to walk, like each step required thought, concentration. Nothing fluid, nothing natural, just mechanical. Wrong. It stopped, 20 yards away. Perfect shot. Broadside. But I didn't draw. Something told me not to. Something primal, instinctive, warning. This wasn't prey. This was something else. Something dangerous. I stayed frozen, watching. The deer looked around, moved its head in ways deer don't. Too far. Too flexible. Joints bending at wrong angles. And its eyes. When it turned toward my tree, I saw its eyes. Wrong color. Wrong shape. Wrong everything. Not deer eyes. Something else. Looking out through a deer's face, it stared at me. Directly. Like it knew exactly where I was. Like it could see through camouflage. Through cover. Through 20 feet of elevation. We locked eyes. And it smiled. I swear. It smiled. Lips pulling back. Showing teeth. Too many teeth. Too sharp. Too wrong. This wasn't a deer. This was something wearing a deer. Using a deer's body. Moving it like a puppet. Badly. Imperfectly. But deliberately. Then it stood. On hind legs. Fully upright. Like a person. Like a human standing. But wrong. Knees bending backwards. Posture unnatural. Arms hanging too long. It stood there. 7 feet tall. Staring at me. Still smiling. Still showing those teeth. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't look away. Trapped in its gaze. In its presence. In its wrongness. After what felt like minutes, but was probably seconds, it dropped back to 4 legs. Turned. Walked away. Same jerky movement. Same unnatural gait. Disappeared into the forest. I sat there. Shaking. Heart racing. Mind trying to process what I'd seen. What I'd experienced. What had just stared at me and smiled. I climbed down. Packed up. Left. Drove straight home. Didn't tell my wife. Didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? A deer standing up. Smiling. Using backward joints. It sounded insane. Like stress. Like fatigue. Like imagination. But I knew what I'd seen. Knew it was real. Knew it was something wrong. Something that shouldn't exist. I researched. Found others. Online forums. Reddit threads. Facebook groups. People describing the same thing. Calling them not deer. Creatures that look like deer. But aren't. That move wrong. Act wrong. Exist wrong. Hundreds of reports. Mostly from Appalachia. Some from other mountain ranges. All describing the same impossible things. Deer standing upright. Deer with too many joints. Deer that smile. Deer that aren't deer. I bought a trail camera. Set it up near where I'd seen the thing. Wanted proof. Wanted documentation. Wanted to know I wasn't crazy. Checked it 2 weeks later. Hundreds of photos. Normal deer. Normal wildlife. Then several shots of it. The not deer, clear, detailed, undeniable. Standing on hind legs. Staring at the camera. Face twisted in that wrong smile. Joints backwards. Body proportions, impossible. And in the photo's background, more of them. Dozens. Standing between trees. All facing the camera. All smiling. All wrong. I showed the photos to the landowner. He went pale. Said he'd seen them too. Didn't know what they were. Didn't want to know. Said I should stop hunting there. Stop coming. These things had appeared 5 years ago. Few at first. Now, more. Multiplying. Spreading. Taking over. Real deer were disappearing. Being replaced. By these. These things that wore deer that mimicked deer behavior. Badly, obviously. Wrong. He said. Other landowners reported the same thing. Across the region. Across multiple counties. All describing all seeing the same impossible movements. The same wrong behaviors. The same disturbing smiles. Nobody knew what they were. Nobody knew where they came from. Nobody knew what they wanted. Just that they were here. Present. Growing. And normal deer were vanishing. I contacted wildlife officials. Sent the photos. Described what I'd seen. They responded politely. Said the photos showed deer with unusual postures. Probably illness. Possibly CWD, chronic wasting disease. Neurological disorder. Makes deer act strangely. Lose fear. Move oddly. I asked if CWD makes deer stand upright, makes them smile, makes their joints bend backwards. They stopped responding. I went back. One more time. Daytime. Bright sun. Wanted to see them again. Confirm. Understand. Confront. Whatever was necessary. I found them. A whole herd, maybe 30, standing in a clearing, all on hind legs, all facing the same direction, all swaying, rhythmic, synchronized, like a ritual, like worship, like something beyond animal behavior, beyond natural explanation. I stepped on a branch, loud crack. They all turned, together, exactly synchronized, all stared at me, all smiled. That same wrong smile. Then they started walking toward me, still upright, still moving with backward joints, still synchronized, a wall of not deer advancing, silent, determined, purposeful. I ran, crashed through the forest, branches tearing skin, roots trying to trip, didn't care, just ran, heard them behind me, keeping pace, not hurrying, not rushing, just following, patient, knowing they didn't need speed, knowing I'd tire, knowing eventually I'd stop, and they'd catch up. I reached my truck, fumbled keys, got in, locked doors, started engine, looked in the mirror. They were there, standing at the tree line, watching, still smiling. I drove, fast, reckless, didn't look back until I reached the highway. The paved road, civilization, safety, normalcy. They didn't follow that far, stayed in the forest, in the wild, in their territory. I don't hunt anymore, don't go in the woods, don't want to risk encountering them again. The things that wear deer, bodhies, that learn to mimic, to replicate, to replace. They're spreading, more sightings, more reports, more trail camera photos, all showing the same thing. Deer that aren't deer. Animals that aren't animals. Something else. Something wrong. Something that's taking over. Last week, my neighbor called, said there were deer in her yard, acting strange, standing wrong, moving wrong, smiling. I told her to stay inside, lock doors, don't go near them. She asked why. What were they? I couldn't explain. Couldn't make her understand. Just said, they're not deer. They're not deer. And they're getting closer. Moving into suburbs, into towns, into our world, where they don't belong, where they shouldn't exist. But they do. They're here. They're real. And they're spreading, replacing real deer, real animals, real nature, with something else, something wrong. Something that watches, and smiles, and waits. For what? I don't know, but I fear we'll find out. Soon, when there are more of them than us, when they've replaced everything natural, when the forest is full of not deer, and we realize, too late, that they were never trying to mimic deer. They were practicing, learning, preparing for something bigger, something worse, something human-shaped. Not people, walking among us, smiling wrong smiles, moving with backward joints, wearing our bodies, badly, obviously, wrong, and we won't know, won't realize, until it's too late, until we're surrounded, until we're outnumbered, until we're replaced by things that look like us, but aren't, not human, not real, not right, just wrong, forever. My wife and I bought a mountain cabin last spring, fixer-upper, great location, affordable price. Previous owner had died, estate sale. House had been empty for 3 years. Needed work, but had potential. We're handy. Enjoy projects. Thought it would be fun, rewarding, investment in our future. We had no idea what we were buying, what we'd inherit, what we'd disturb. The cabin was strange. Built in the 1920s, original structure mostly intact, but additions had been made. Poorly, inconsistently, nothing aligned. Walls met at odd angles. Floors weren't level. Doors hung crooked. Windows tilted. Everything was catawampus. That's what mountain people call it. Crooked, misaligned, wrong, but deliberately, intentionally, for a reason. We thought it was just age, settling, poor construction, amateur additions over decades. We planned to fix it. Straighten walls, level floors, align everything properly, make it right, modern, professional, beautiful. We were excited, proud, ready to transform this crooked cabin into our dream home. We started demolition in June, tearing out interior walls, removing partition, opening up space, creating modern floor plan. The work went well, fast, easy, everything coming down smoothly, revealing original structure, solid logs, strong joists, good bones beneath the chaos. We were pleased, confident. This would be easier than expected. Then we found the stones, behind a wall, embedded in mortar, flat river stones, carved with symbols, old symbols, weathered, barely visible, but deliberately placed, deliberately positioned, at every corner, every joint, every angle where walls met. Dozens of them, hidden, sealed, forgotten. We removed them, saved them, curious about their history, about their purpose, about why someone had hidden marked stones in the walls. Reconstruction started in July. New walls, straight plumb, square, exactly level, exactly right. Professional quality. We worked hard, made great progress. Within 2 weeks, the interior was transformed, recognizable, modern. The catawampus was gone. Everything aligned, everything perfect. We were proud, exhausted, happy. The first night sleeping in the renovated cabin, I woke to sounds, movement, downstairs, like furniture being moved. Heavy objects dragged across floors. I went to investigate, grabbed a baseball bat, descended stairs, turned on lights. Nothing. Everything where we'd left it. No signs of disturbance. No evidence of intrusion, just silence, normal, empty. I went back to bed, told my wife I'd imagined it. Stress, fatigue, new house sounds. She agreed. We slept, until it happened again. Louder this time, deliberate, prolonged, something moving, something heavy, something wrong. We both heard it. We both went down. Together, both saw nothing. The house was empty, still, quiet, but something had been there. Something had moved. We both knew it. Morning revealed the truth. Our new walls, perfectly straight yesterday, were twisted, warped, bowed, not settling, not gradual. Overnight transformation, dramatic, impossible. Walls that had been plumb were now off by inches. Floors that had been level now tilted. Doors that fit perfectly now stuck. Everything we'd straightened had become catawampus again. We thought, foundation issues, settling, earthquake, something natural. We called engineers. They found nothing wrong. No structural problems. No settling. No explanation. The building was sound. The foundation solid. The warping made no sense. Violated physics. Couldn't happen naturally, but it had, overnight, while we slept, while something moved in the dark. We fixed it. Again, straightened walls, leveled floors, aligned everything, even more carefully, even more precisely. Perfect right angles, perfect alignment, perfect structure. We finished, went to bed, woke to the same sounds, the same movement, the same impossibility. Morning showed the same result. Everything catawampus. Everything wrong. Everything undone. My wife found a local historian, showed him photos, described what was happening. He knew immediately. Said the cabin had been built catawampus, intentionally. The original owner had consulted a granny woman, a local healer. She'd warned him. This land was wrong. Something lived here. Something territorial. Something that wouldn't tolerate straight lines. Wouldn't tolerate order. Wouldn't tolerate human geometry. The granny woman had instructed him. Build crooked. Make everything confuse the thing. Disorient it. Keep it from settling. Keep it from claiming the space completely. The crooked angles would trap it. The misalignments would contain it. The intentional wrongness would protect against something worse. Something that thrived in order. Something that multiplied in straight lines. Something that grew in geometric precision. The stones we'd found. The carved symbols. Those were seals. Anchors. Keeping the catawampus angles stable. Keeping them effective. Keeping them protective. By removing them. By straightening the walls. By aligning everything perfectly. We'd broken the protection. Released the constraint. Invited something in. Something that was now correcting our mistake. Restoring the protection. Restoring the only thing keeping it at bay. The historian said, we had two choices. Leave the cabin, let it stay crooked. Accept the protection. Or continue fighting. Continue straightening. And see what happens when we finally succeed. When we finally overcome the resistance. When we finally create perfect geometry. Perfect order. Perfect angles. And give the thing what it wants. What it needs. What it's been waiting for. A proper structure. A proper host. A proper home. We tried leaving it. Living with catawampus walls. Tilted floors. Crooked doors. It was disorienting. Uncomfortable. Wrong. But the sound stopped. The movement stopped. The presence withdrew. As long as the cabin stayed crooked, we were safe, protected, tolerated, but we couldn't accept it. Couldn't live with wrongness. Couldn't tolerate the discomfort. We straightened one wall, just one, as a test, as a compromise, to see what would happen. That night, something came. Not moving furniture, not warping walls. Something worse, something physical, something present. We heard it breathing, in the room, close, surrounding us. Heavy breath, wet, rotten, coming from everywhere. From the walls, from the floor, from the newly straightened geometry. We ran, left the cabin, drove to a hotel, stayed there 3 days, afraid to return. Afraid of what we'd unleashed. Afraid of what was waiting. Finally, we went back. Found the wall twisted again. More dramatically than before. Warped severely. Almost broken. And a smell. Throughout the house. Rot. Decay. Organic. Like something had died. Or been born. Or manifested. Temporarily. As warning. We consulted the historian again. He helped us find someone, an old woman, mountain-born, knew the old ways. She came to the cabin, walked through, studied the angles, studied the warping, nodded slowly, said we'd made it angry, made it active, made it protective. We'd need to make amends, restore the stones, reinforce the catawampus, make offerings, make peace, before it decided we weren't worth protecting. Before it decided to straighten us instead. We followed her instructions, reinstalled the stones, found the carved symbols, placed them exactly where they'd been, added new ones, sealed them properly, made the cabin even more catawampus, even more wrong, even more protective. The old woman performed a ritual, spoke words we didn't understand, burned herbs we couldn't identify, made offerings of milk and honey and blood. Animal blood, at least. She said it was animal blood. When she finished, she warned us. Never straighten again. Never align. Never impose order. Live with the catawampa. Accept the protection. Be grateful for the crooked angles. Because they're not just keeping something out. They're keeping something in. Something that lives in the land. Something that's been here longer than humans. Longer than trees, longer than mountains. Something that existed before geometry, before straight lines, before order, and it remembers, and it wants back. wants to spread, wants to grow, wants to manifest in straight lines, in perfect angles, in geometric precision, where it multiplies, where it thrives, where it becomes real. We still live in the cabin, still endure the catawampa. Visitors find it disturbing, disorienting, wrong. We don't explain, don't tell them. Just say it's old, it's rustic, it's character. We've learned to navigate the tilted floors, the crooked doors, the misaligned walls. We've learned to appreciate the protection, the safety, the barrier between us and something worse. Something that waits, something that watches, something that tries every night to straighten, to align, to correct. But the catawampus holds, the crooked angles resist, the intentional wrongness protects, and we sleep, uneasily, but we sleep, because we learned, because we listened, because we stopped fighting, stopped imposing our order, stopped demanding straight lines, and accepted that some things must stay crooked, must stay wrong, forever, or until the angles fail, until the protection breaks, until straight lines return, and something manifests. Something ancient, something hungry, something geometric, that grows in order, that multiplies in precision, that becomes real, in straight lines, in perfect angles, in the geometry we crave, and feed, and summon, every time we straighten, every time we align, every time we make things right and wrong. So very wrong. I'm a landscape artist, oils mostly, sell through galleries, regional shows, commission work, make a decent living, better than most artists. People love mountain scenes, Appalachian vistas, misty valleys, ancient forests. I paint what they want, what they'll buy, what they'll hang in their homes. It's honest work. Good work, until I found the trail. Last spring, I was hiking in eastern Kentucky, looking for new views, fresh inspiration, somewhere different, somewhere special, somewhere that would translate into paintings people hadn't seen before. I left the marked trail, wandered off path, following intuition, following something. I found a narrow trail, barely visible, overgrown but definitely a trail. Human-made, old, forgotten. I followed it after a mile. I reached the most beautiful place I'd ever seen, a meadow surrounded by ancient trees, wildflowers everywhere, a creek running through, mountains visible beyond, perfect light, perfect composition, perfect everything. It was like finding paradise, like discovering Eden, like stumbling into a painting already complete, already perfect. Already waiting. I set up, started sketching. The light was extraordinary, golden, warm, rich, better than any time of day should produce, better than physics allowed, but I didn't question, just worked, capturing it, recording it, translating it to canvas. I painted for 3 hours, lost in the work, lost in the beauty, lost in the perfection. When I finished, I had something special. Something exceptional, something that would sell immediately. I returned the next day, and the next, and the next, every painting better than the last, every session more productive, every visit more intoxicating. I couldn't stay away, couldn't work anywhere else, couldn't paint anything but this meadow, this trail, this perfect place. I was obsessed, addicted, possessed by the beauty, by the light, by the perfection. My gallery loved the new work, sold everything immediately, high prices, commission requests flooding in. Everyone wanted paintings from that meadow. Everyone recognized something special, something transcendent, something beyond normal landscape art. I became successful, popular, in demand, all because of the trail, all because of the meadow, all because of the perfect light. Then buyers started contacting me, asking strange questions, saying strange things. They dreamed about the meadow, saw it clearly, knew exactly where it was, wanted to visit, needed to find it, couldn't stop thinking about it. The paintings called to them, showed them the way, pulled them, summoned them. They needed my help, needed directions, needed to see it in person, needed to experience it firsthand. I didn't understand. The paintings were just landscapes, beautiful but normal. How could they show people the way? How could they pull anyone? How could canvas and paint communicate location, communicate desire, communicate need? But the calls continued. The emails multiplied. Dozens of people, all describing the same thing. Dreams, visions, knowledge of where the meadow existed, certainty they could find it, certainty they needed to find it, certainty I could help. I gave directions to one person, a woman, collector, wealthy, persistent. She promised to pay, promised to commission more work, promised anything if I'd just tell her how to find it. I drew a map, described the trailhead, described the path, described the markers. She thanked me profusely, emotionally, like I'd given her something sacred, something holy, something life-changing. She went missing 3 days later. Her car was found at the trailhead, keys inside, phone inside, wallet inside. No sign of her, no trail, no path, no meadow. Search and rescue found nothing, just forest, dense, normal, empty, no meadow, no creek, no perfect light, just trees and undergrowth, miles of it. She was never found, never heard from again, just gone, vanished, taken by something, by somewhere, by the meadow. I went back, tried to find the trail, the meadow, the perfect place. Nothing. The trail was gone. The entrance vanished. No signs of where I'd been, where I'd painted, where I'd spent hours. Dozens of visits, all erased, all impossible, all non-existent. I searched for days. Nothing. The meadow was gone, or I'd been somewhere else, somewhere that doesn't exist on any map, somewhere that appears and disappears and takes people who find it, people who see it, people who try to return, but I can still see it. Close my eyes, see every detail, every flower, every tree, every shadow, crystal clear, perfect memory, photographic recall, like it's burned into my brain, like it's part of me now, like I brought something back, something that stayed, something that watches, something that waits, something that wants me to return, to find the trail again, to enter the meadow, to stay forever. More people went missing, buyers, collectors, people who'd seen my paintings, who'd dreamed the dreams, who'd felt the pull, who'd searched for the meadow, who'd found something, maybe not what I'd found, maybe something worse, something hungry, something that showed me the meadow. Let me paint it, let me leave, so I'd spread the image, spread the dreams, spread the pull, lure others, bring them, feed them to whatever lives there, whatever waits there, whatever needs them there. I stopped painting, stopped selling, destroyed what inventory remained, refused commissions, refused interviews, disappeared from the art world, because I realized I wasn't the artist, I was the bait. The paintings weren't art, they were advertisements, invitations, lures, and everyone who bought them, everyone who hung them, everyone who looked too long. They were marked, chosen, called, to find the trail, to find the meadow, to find what I'd found, and never leave. But I can't stop seeing it, can't stop painting it, not on canvas, in my mind, every night, every dream, every quiet moment. I see the meadow, I see the trail, I see the path, and I hear her, the woman who went missing, calling my name, from the meadow, from the perfect place, asking me to come back, asking me to bring others, asking me to paint more, share more, lure more, because she's not alone anymore. Others are there, all the missing people, all together, all waiting, all calling, all needing more. More visitors, more viewers, more victims. And I'm their recruiter, their artist, their prophet, spreading the gospel, spreading the image, spreading the meadow, one painting at a time, one dream at a time, one victim at a time, the trail that finds you, the meadow that calls you, the light that keeps you, forever, painting, dreaming, calling, in perfect light, in perfect beauty, in perfect horror, forever and ever and ever. My mother died in February, cancer, fast, brutal. 3 months from diagnosis to death, she left me her house, small property in the Ozarks. I'd grown up there, moved away for college, never returned, visited rarely. She'd lived alone for 20 years, after Dad died, after I left, after everyone left. Just her, the house, the land, and something else. Something I didn't know about, something I should have known. Something she tried to tell me. In her final letter. The letter was with her will, handwritten, shaky, written in her last days. Most was normal. Love you, goodbye. Standard final words. But the last paragraph was strange, urgent, cryptic. She wrote about the bloodroot, the plants growing around the house, all around, forming a circle, complete, unbroken. She'd maintained them, her whole life. Her mother had maintained them, her grandmother, going back generations. Women in our family, tending bloodroot, never letting it die, never letting it fade, never breaking the circle. She wrote, keep planting, keep watering, keep the circle complete. It's protecting something, or protecting against something. She didn't explain, just repeated, don't let the bloodroot die. Don't break the circle. Don't disturb what's beneath. Keep the bargain. Honor the debt. Continue the work. Then the letter ended. Signed with love. Sealed with warning. Left with questions. Questions she couldn't answer. Questions I'd need to discover. Questions I'd need to survive. I drove to the property in March. To clean out the house. To sort belongings. To prepare for sale. I had no intention of keeping it. Too remote, too old, too tied to memories I'd rather forget. I'd list it, sell it, move on. Let someone else deal with the maintenance. Let someone else tend the bloodroot. Let someone else honor whatever bargain my mother had kept. The bloodroot was everywhere, just as she'd described, forming a perfect circle, maybe 50 feet diameter. The house centered, surrounded, protected, or imprisoned. The plants were healthy, thriving, more vibrant than natural, more abundant than possible, like they were fed, nourished, sustained by something beyond soil and water, something deeper, something darker, something hungry. I ignored them, focused on the house, sorting, packing, organizing, preparing for estate sale. The work was tedious, emotional, exhausting. I worked for 2 weeks. Made good progress, cleared most rooms, boxed most belongings, ready to list soon, ready to leave, ready to be done. But I noticed the bloodroot changing, wilting, dying, not from disease, not from drought, just dying, all at once, simultaneously, like they'd lost their purpose, lost their sustenance, lost whatever had kept them growing, whatever bargain had fed them. I remembered the letter. Keep planting. Keep watering. Don't let them die. But I'd done nothing. Neglected them. Ignored them. And they were dying. Fast. I should have watered them. Should have cared. Should have honored my mother's final request. But I was leaving soon. Selling soon. Why maintain what I'd abandon? Why continue what I'd end? Why honor bargains? I didn't understand. I let them die, watched them wither, watched the circle break, watched the protection fail, or the prison open. I didn't know which, didn't care, just wanted to finish, wanted to leave, wanted to be done. The first sign was the smell, started 3 days after the bloodroot died, faint, like decay, like rot, like something buried, something old, something awakening. I searched the house, the property, the land, found nothing. No dead animals, no obvious source, just that smell, growing stronger, permeating everything, following me, surrounding me, claiming me. Then the sounds, at night, scratching, digging, movement, beneath the house, something underground, something tunneling, something rising. I went to the crawl space, looked beneath, saw nothing, just dirt, foundations, darkness. But the sounds continued, louder, closer, more insistent. Something was coming, something was emerging, something the bloodroot had kept buried, kept contained, kept satisfied. I found my mother's journals, in the attic, hidden, sealed in a box, dozens of them, going back decades, all describing the same thing. The bargain, the debt. Our family had made a deal, generations ago, with something that lived beneath the land, something that needed feeding, regular feeding, constant feeding, blood feeding. That's why it was called bloodroot, not for its red sap, for its sustenance, for what kept it growing, for what kept it protecting, for what kept the thing beneath satisfied, contained, asleep. The women in my family had fed it, monthly, secretly, blood offerings, their own blood, small amounts, enough to sustain the plants, enough to honor the bargain, enough to keep peace, keep protection, keep the thing beneath from rising, from claiming, from taking what it was owed, taking what had been promised, taking payment, in flesh, in life, in family. My mother had done it her whole life, her mother before her, her grandmother, all the way back, to the original bargain, to the first woman, who'd needed help, needed protection, needed power, and had found something beneath the land, something old, something willing to trade, willing to grant wishes, willing to protect, in exchange for blood, for continuation, for feeding forever. And I'd broken it. I'd let the bloodroot die. I'd stopped the feeding. I'd ended the bargain, accidentally, ignorantly, fatally. The thing beneath was waking, rising, claiming what it was owed, claiming me, claiming payment, claiming compensation for broken promises, broken deals, broken faith. I tried replanting, tried watering, tried feeding, blood from my palm, like the journals described, but the plants wouldn't grow, wouldn't respond, wouldn't accept. The circle was broken. The bargain was ended. The thing beneath was free, released, hungry, and it wanted me, needed me, claimed me, as payment, as compensation, as debt. The ground started opening, small holes at first, around the dead bloodroot, around the broken circle, then larger, cracks, fissures, something pushing up, something emerging, something that had been buried for generations, kept down by blood, kept satisfied by sacrifice, kept contained by bargain, now released, now rising, now claiming. I saw it, one night, through my bedroom window, standing where the bloodroot had grown, where the circle had been, where protection had existed, tall, impossibly tall, made of earth, made of roots, made of bones, old bones, many bones, generations of bones, all the women who'd failed, all the women who'd broken faith, all the women who'd been claimed, consumed, incorporated into the thing beneath, into the thing that rises, into the thing that takes. It walked toward the house, toward my window, toward me, slowly, deliberately, inevitably, each step breaking earth, each step revealing more height, more mass, more horror. It reached the house, pressed against the wall, pressed against the window, pressed against the glass, looking in, with eyes made of nothing, with face made of soil, with mouth made of roots and bones, So many bones. Women's bones. Ancestors' bones. Mother's bones. All consumed. All claimed. All waiting. For me. For addition. For continuation. I ran. Grabbed my keys. Grabbed my phone. Ran to my car. Drove away. Fast. Reckless. Desperate. Not looking back. Not stopping. Not thinking. Just escaping. Fleeing. Surviving. I drove until dawn. Until distance. Until safety. Maybe. Hopefully. Temporarily. I called a local historian. Described what happened. What I'd seen. What I'd released. She knew. She'd heard stories. About the Bloodroot house. About the women who lived there. About the thing beneath. She said I couldn't escape. Not really. The debt was mine now. Inherited. Bound by blood. Bound by family. Bound by bargain made centuries ago. I had to return. Had to restore the Bloodroot. Had to feed it. Had to honor the deal. Or be claimed. Be consumed. Be added to the bones. She gave me instructions. Rituals. Words. Offerings. Ways to restore what I'd broken. Ways to reseal what I'd opened. Ways to satisfy what I'd angered. But warned me, it wouldn't be the same. The thing had tasted freedom, tasted air, tasted possibility. It would be harder to contain, would require more, would demand more, would take more. Monthly feeding wouldn't suffice, weekly might, daily probably. And eventually nothing would be enough. Eventually it would claim me, like it had claimed all the others. All the women who'd tried, who'd failed, who'd become bones, who'd become earth, who'd become food, who'd become part of the thing beneath. The thing that grows, the thing that waits, the thing that feeds, on bloodroot, on blood, on family forever. My husband and I were driving home from vacation, through West Virginia, late night. Dark roads, nothing but mountains and silence. We'd been driving for hours. Radio had lost signal hours ago, just static, white noise, highway hypnosis. Then the station came through, clear, strong, impossibly strong, playing 1940s music, big band, swing, classics. We both smiled, appreciated the nostalgia, the novelty, the unexpected entertainment. We had no idea, no warning, no preparation for what we'd found, what had found us, what would follow us forever. The music was perfect, crisp, clear, no static, no interference, like listening to vinyl, like the songs were recorded yesterday, not 80 years ago. Between songs, a DJ spoke, male voice, pleasant, professional, announcing titles, artists, dates, giving local news, weather, community updates, all from 1947, all spoken like it was current, like it was happening now, like 77 years hadn't passed, like the world hadn't changed, like time had stopped, or looped, or never progressed beyond that year, that moment, that broadcast. Thought we laughed, thought it was a specialty station, retro programming, historical reenactment, something clever, something fun. We listened, enjoyed the commitment to authenticity, appreciated the detail. The DJ mentioned local events, dances, meetings, town happenings, all in towns we'd never heard of, all with dates from 1947, all delivered seriously, professionally, like genuine broadcasts, like real radio, like time traveling to a moment preserved, a frequency forgotten, a broadcast eternal. Then the DJ said something that stopped us. He said, "For all you travelers out there, driving through, listening tonight, welcome. We know you're there. We can hear you. We can help you. Just call in. Tell us what you need. Tell us what you want. Tell us your names, and we'll answer. We always answer. The line is always open." Then he gave a phone number, local area code, followed by 7 digits. Old format, from before 10-digit dialing, from before cell phones, from before everything modern, everything current, everything real. My husband said we should call, see what happens, see if it's real, see if someone answers. I was hesitant. Something felt wrong, something felt off, something felt dangerous, but he insisted, just for fun, just to see, just to know. He dialed, speakerphone. We listened. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then someone answered, the same voice. The DJ, exactly the same. Like he'd stepped away from the mic, picked up the phone, answered immediately. He knew our names, both of them, without us saying, without us introducing. Jez knew, greeted us warmly, thanked us for calling, asked how we were enjoying the drive, how we liked the music, how long we'd been listening. We were stunned, silent, confused. How did he know? How could he know? We'd just found the station, just started listening, just called. But he knew everything about us, about our drive, about our presence, like he'd been tracking us, like he'd been waiting, like he'd called us. To him, he asked if we wanted to make a request, play a song, dedicate it to someone, to anyone, to ourselves. My husband said sure, why not? Give us Glenn Miller. In the mood, the DJ laughed, said perfect choice, perfect request. He'd play it next, after this commercial break. Then he said our names again, thanked us for calling, thanked us for listening, said he hoped we'd stay tuned, stay listening, stay with him, through the night, through the drive, through whatever comes next. Then he hung up. The commercial played, old advertisement, for products that don't exist anymore, for businesses long closed, for a world long gone. Then Glenn Miller, in the mood, perfect quality, perfect timing, perfect everything. The DJ came back, said that was for us, for the travelers, for the listeners driving through the mountains, through the night, through time. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're still listening. Hope you never leave. Because once you tune in, once you call, once you engage, you're part of the broadcast, part of the frequency, part of the moment frozen in 1947, forever. We turned off the radio, switched to FM, found nothing, switched to satellite, found normal stations, modern music, current news, real time. We tried to laugh, tried to dismiss, tried to rationalize. Just a clever station, just good programming, just convincing stick, nothing more, nothing sinister, nothing impossible. We convinced ourselves, mostly. But that night, at our hotel, the radio in the room turned on by itself. Same station, same DJ, same music. He welcomed us back, said he knew we'd return, said they always return, said once you hear the broadcast, once you engage, once you call, you can't leave, can't escape, can't turn it off. The frequency finds you. The broadcast follows. The 1947 moment travels. Wherever you go, wherever you are, wherever you'll be. Forever we checked out early, drove home, fast, desperate. Every radio we passed, car, store, phone, playing the same station, playing the same music, playing the same broadcast, like it was everywhere, like it had spread, like calling had activated something that now tracked us, followed us, owned us. We were part of the frequency, part of the broadcast, part of 1947, whether we liked it, whether we wanted it, whether we survived it. Home didn't help. Every device, every radio, every speaker, playing the station, the DJ acknowledging our presence, thanking us for listening, encouraging us to stay, to keep listening, to never turn away. Because we were his now, his listeners, his audience, his trapped souls, frozen in frequency, frozen in time, frozen in 1947, broadcasting forever, never ending, never changing, never releasing. The station that shouldn't exist, the frequency that traps, the broadcast that claims everyone who listens, everyone who calls, everyone who engages, becomes part of it, part of the programming, part of the forever loop, playing 1940s music, giving 1947 news, welcoming new listeners, new callers, new victims to the station, to the frequency, to the moment frozen, where time stopped, where broadcast continued, where listeners became part of the show, part of the history, part of the transmission that never ends, never stops, never releases, just plays and plays and plays forever. We're still listening, can't stop, can't turn off, can't escape. Every device plays it, every moment broadcasts it, every breath synchronizes to its rhythm, to its frequency, to its eternal 1947 moment. We've stopped fighting, stopped trying, stopped hoping. Now we just listen, just broadcast, just exist, in the frequency, in the moment, in the station that shouldn't exist, that does exist, that will exist forever. Broadcasting, playing, claiming, one listener at a time, one caller at a time, one family at a time, until everyone listens, until everyone calls, until everyone joins. The broadcast, the station, the frequency, that plays forever, in mountains, in time, in horror, that never ends.